I issued an invitation to my colleague, Frank Schaefer, because I felt that it was important for the gay members of this congregation and for the community in Lancaster City, that is a growing gay community, as well as for the larger community itself, to know that within Methodism we can welcome a person who, though had been in ordained and appointed ministry and has been set apart now, is still welcome to preach, welcome to be a part of the ministry of the church, is not exiled, is not outcast, is not shunned, is not cast off, but is a member of the family. And I thought it was important for the larger community to know that Frank is a brother in Christ, not in exile, not someone who is untouchable, but is a brother in Christ with us in the United Methodist Church, at least in this United Methodist Church.
And I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Very much.
Well, you're welcome. You're
thank
welcome.
You. Thank you.
You're welcome.
My message this morning was for the special Sunday in which we honor Dr. Martin Luther King. It's the Human Relations Sunday in the Methodist Church. My message was about loving our neighbors. If you want to bring it down into a nutshell, that's what we need to do. That's where we struggle. And part of my message was that we have a problem because in the United Methodist Church, as well as other churches, we treat some of our brothers and sisters, some of our members, church members, as second-class Christians. And the message I preached on was the story of the Ethiopian eunuch who was shunned by his own faith tradition, the first century Judean tradition. He was not allowed to worship in the temple because he was a eunuch. And here is Philip, a disciple of Christ, taking him into the church, baptizes him. And I said, that's the way it's supposed to be. That's what the early church stood about. That's what Jesus stood about. Total inclusion of everybody. Jesus never rejected anybody that came to him. He had open arms for everybody, to a point where the Pharisees and other religious leaders were criticizing him on welcoming sinners. Now, Jesus never called them sinners. He called them friends. And that's what we should do as a church. We cannot say, you can come here and you can be baptized and you can be a member, but when it comes to marrying the person that you love, we won't do that for you. Or if it comes to becoming a minister in the Methodist Church, you can't do that. That's discrimination. That's treating some of our members as second-class Christians, and it has to stop. Many people ask us, even today, how do you do this? How do you continue? Where do you take the strength? And I'm telling you, after what we've been through with the trial, a public trial in many ways, with the penalty, with the defrocking, most of that support and most of the strength comes from people just pouring out their love and their appreciation on us. Wherever I go now, and I try to take my wife as much as I can, all across the country, we meet people in wonderful churches that are so supportive, and they say, you inspire us. What you've done means so much. Thank you for doing that. That is what really is giving me the strength, in addition to prayer and God giving me the strength as well to continue in my ministry. And I'm so glad and grateful that I have that opportunity, because when I was defrocked, I felt like, oh wow, this is the end of my ministry. I was outside of the church. I lost my local congregation, which I all mourned very much, and so now I am in the pulpit most every Sunday, and so God is not finished with me yet, and God still has a place for me, and it feels wonderful to just continue to minister.
Well, I'm increasingly discouraged that in the larger community, it seems like the general feeling of the population is that Christians are anti-homosexual or unable simply to accept people for who they are. So that part of my aim was to have Frank Schaefer come and spend some time with us to communicate to us and to the community that we can turn the tide of the idea that, sort of the drop-down window of why are Christians so judgmental, hateful, outcasting, so separate, that we can begin to turn that around by reminding people of the story of the early church and how open it was to receive new converts and to come into Christ again. And so I thought Frank did that masterfully with his sermon and with the time in the meet and greet upstairs to communicate that the church is not monolithic on this issue. It's very painful within the church, and we're struggling with this, and we need to struggle with it within the church, and we need to struggle with it outside the church as well.
I have to tell you, it's different. It's a different life now because we're traveling a lot and we're meeting a lot of new people and staying in people's houses, and that's all great. But sometimes I think we need to really slow down and just take some time to heal and to process, all that has happened and transpired in our lives, which was, some of it was very traumatic. So, sometimes I think we need to slow down and just heal.